Hi, everyone, and welcome to Everyday English Talk.
Hey, I'm Jake.
And I'm Emma. We're super excited to have you here today.
Yeah, we got a really useful episode for you. Today we're talking about 10 common mistakes that English learners make and how to fix them naturally.
Totally. And these aren't just grammar rules on a page. These are things we hear all the time in real conversations. Some are small, some are tricky, but all of them are fixable.
For example, have you ever heard someone say, I am agree?
Oh, yes. That one pops up so often. And it's understandable because in some languages, you do use to be with adjectives. But in English, agree is already a verb. So the correct way is just, I agree.
Exactly, and that's just the start. Another really common mistake is confusing say and tell. People might say, he told that he likes pizza, which is incorrect.
Right. Tell always needs a person after it. So you'd say, he told me he likes pizza. Or you can just use say, he said he likes pizza.
And here's a little tip for our listeners. When Emma says nice like that in conversation, it's just casual praise, kind of like saying good job.
Yep, and speaking of common mix-ups, learners often get another and other wrong. Like, I need another questions. Actually, another only works with singular nouns. I need another question.
And if it's plural, you use other questions. Simple as that.
Exactly. Another mistake is avoiding contractions because some learners think it's too casual. Saying I do not know instead of I don't know makes English sound stiff.
Totally. Native speakers use contractions all the time, so skipping them can actually make your English sound unnatural.
Another classic one is mispronouncing ed endings on past tense verbs. For instance, walked is pronounced walked, not walked.
And then there's the classic, I have 25 years. In English, we use to be for age. I am 25.
So that's 6 mistakes already, and we're just getting started. Fixing these is way easier when you hear them in real conversation rather than just reading rules in a textbook.
Absolutely. Ready to dig into a few more common mistakes?
Let's do it.
So, Emma, now that we've covered some of the first common mistakes, let's talk about idioms. Learners often take them literally.
Oh, totally. Like when someone hears break a leg and thinks you want them injured. Nope, it just means good luck.
Exactly. And phrases like hang on can confuse learners too. It doesn't mean to physically hang, it just means wait a sec. And a sec is slang for a second or a very short moment.
Speaking of slang, some learners think that using lots of slang will make them sound more native. But if you overdo it, saying bro, dude, or yo every sentence, you actually sound unnatural.
Yeah, I call that the wrong register problem. Mixing formal and casual language can be awkward, like writing an email. Dear sir, what's up, bro? Not great.
Exactly. Matching your tone to the situation is key. Casual with friends, neutral in class, formal in official emails. Another mistake is forgetting the S in third person singular. He go, she like. It's subtle in speech sometimes, but grammatically necessary.
And the biggest one is translating word for word from your native language. That's when weird sentences pop up, like, I didn't understand nothing. Double negatives don't work in standard English. It should be, I didn't understand anything.
Learning phrases instead of single words helps avoid this. And thinking in English, even a little, really helps fluency.
Totally. Also, learners sometimes overthink everything and speak too slowly. That kills the natural flow of conversation.
Right. The fix is to practice speaking in real situations, even with small mistakes. Over time, your brain starts using English patterns automatically.
And one more tip, listening a lot is crucial. When you hear native speakers using these structures in context, it sticks much better than just memorizing rules.
Exactly. The more you immerse yourself, the faster you stop making these mistakes naturally.
So that covers idioms, register, third-person S, word-for-word translation, and fluency issues.
Yep. And in the next part, we can go through practical examples and mini fixes for each mistake so listeners can try them themselves.
All right, Emma, let's dive into some practical fixes.
One mistake I hear all the time is misusing another and other. A simple trick is to remember another equals singular, other equals plural.
Exactly. And when you speak, it helps to repeat it in context, like, I need another pen, or I need other pens. The more you hear and say it naturally, the faster it sticks.
Another quick one is say versus tell. Just think tell always wants a person after it. He told me the story versus he said the story. Little tweaks like that make your sentences sound native instantly.
Yep. And for contractions, don't be afraid. Using don't, can't, or isn't in everyday speech is completely normal. Avoiding them just makes your English sound stiff.
Yeah, pronunciation of ed endings is another easy fix. Listen carefully and repeat. Walked is walked. Wanted is want-id. It's mostly about listening and practicing the natural rhythm.
Yep. And for contractions, don't be afraid. Using don't, can't, or isn't in everyday speech is completely normal. Avoiding them just makes your English sound stiff.
Yeah, sci-fi is really good. The Academy is interesting. It's about this wild superhero family. Really cool and wild ride.
Oh, and age. Always remember, I am 25, not I have 25 years. It's small, but it makes your English sound right immediately.
Now, idioms can be tricky. Don't translate literally. Break a leg equals good luck. Hang on equals wait a sec. If you memorize the meaning instead of the words, you won't get confused in conversation.
Right, and register is huge, matching tone to context. Casual with friends, neutral in class, formal in emails. Too many people mix styles and it sounds weird.
Third person S is subtle but important. He go or she like might sound okay in fast speech, but it's still wrong. Listening and repeating is the best fix.
And double negatives, like I didn't understand nothing. Just remember, English prefers anything in that case. Learn the whole phrase, not just the words.
Thinking in English helps. Don't translate every word in your head. Your brain will start forming correct sentences naturally.
Totally. And don't overthink every sentence. Fluency comes with practice. Small mistakes are okay. They're part of learning.
Finally, immerse yourself. Listen to native speakers, repeat what they say, and try to use phrases, not just individual words. That's the fastest way to stop making common mistakes.
Exactly. And with a bit of consistent practice, you'll notice these fixes happening automatically. So Jake, now that we've gone through the common mistakes and quick fixes, let's talk about how learners can practice these in real life.
Absolutely. One thing I always tell learners is to shadow native speakers. Basically, listen to a sentence and repeat it right away, copying the rhythm and intonation.
Yes, shadowing helps with pronunciation, contractions, and even the tricky ed endings we talked about. It's like training your ear and mouth together.
Another tip is record yourself speaking. I know it feels awkward at first, but when you listen back, you notice tiny mistakes you didn't realize you were making.
And don't worry about sounding perfect. Making mistakes is part of learning. Actually, in American English, we often say mess up for making small mistakes, like, oops, I messed up.
That's a good one. Another fun way is to talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing. I'm making coffee. I'm writing an email. It may feel silly, but it's super effective for thinking in English naturally.
Totally. And using phrases instead of translating word for word really helps here. For example, instead of I didn't understand nothing, practice saying I didn't understand anything. That trains your brain to form correct sentences automatically.
Also, don't forget listening to podcasts, TV shows, or YouTube in English. Passive listening might feel easy, but your brain picks up rhythm, vocabulary, and natural ways to connect sentences.
Exactly. And if you hear slang, idioms, or contractions, try to use them in your own sentences, like a sec for a second, or all day for constantly. Little things like that make your English sound natural.
And one more tip, practice in short daily sessions. Even 10-15 minutes a day of focused speaking and listening beats cramming for hours once a week.
Right. Consistency is key. And don't worry about sounding like a native overnight. Progress comes gradually, and every small improvement counts.
Yup, that's the mindset that helps you internalize fixes for common mistakes, and it's actually fun when you see yourself improving week by week.
Totally. And remember, the more you immerse yourself, the less you'll need to think about grammar rules consciously. Your brain starts doing it automatically.
All right, Emma, now that we've talked about practicing daily, let's focus on real-life conversation mistakes. One big one I hear is hesitating too much because people are afraid of making mistakes.
Oh, yes, hesitation kills fluency. The key is to just say something, even if it's not perfect. Native speakers make mistakes too, they just keep talking.
Exactly. And another tip is asking questions in conversation. If you're unsure about a word or phrase, ask, "How do you say this?" or "What does that mean?" It keeps the conversation flowing and helps you learn naturally.
That's a great one. Also, when you notice idioms or slang, try repeating it in your own sentence. For example, if you hear, "hang on a sec," you can say, "hang on a sec, I'll grab my notebook." That trains your brain to use phrases correctly.
Yup. And don't forget about feedback. Ask your friends or teachers to correct small mistakes, but don't get discouraged. Corrections are learning opportunities, not criticism.
Absolutely. And one last big tip, immerse yourself in English media. Podcasts, TV shows, movies. Listen actively, repeat phrases, and imitate the natural flow. That's how all those little mistakes we talked about start disappearing.
And the best part? Over time, your brain starts forming sentences automatically, and you won't even think about the grammar mistakes anymore.
Yep, that's the goal. And honestly, making English part of your daily routine, small conversations, listening, repeating, makes all the difference.
Exactly. Little consistent practice beats long occasional study sessions every time.
So everyone, if you enjoyed today's episode and found these tips useful, don't forget to subscribe to Everyday English Talk. That way you'll never miss a new episode and can keep improving your English with us.